This podcast service from News Talk 870 WHCU is brought to you by Black Box Computer Consulting. They know what's inside.
8:17 on the Morning News Watch. You've heard him on the CBS News quite often. I believe he's working for Fox News right now. Larry Sabato is a political analyst who's been around for quite some time, and he keeps an eye on congressional races and other Senate races around the United States. You hear him a lot during election time. And interesting that he has now put New York's 24th congressional district, other than from leaning Democrat, to a toss-up for this year. That's got to be good news for Republican Richard Hanna, who joins us on the Newsline this morning. This race really, Mr. Hanna, is getting a lot of attention nationwide.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, Mr. Rothenberg did change the race yesterday, I found out, but it's likely Republican. It was toss-up. Now they're saying that it's more likely that we win than not.
Wow.
I'm not sure I enjoy all the attention. I did this last in 2008. Did it just as a private citizen who believed in what I was doing and had the closest race against an incumbent in the country and was outspent by, I think, about $600,000. I had no attention and no help. I write everything myself and left Washington alone, and now they're all paying attention, and for me it's more of a nuisance in a way.
But do you expect that this year you're going to see a lot more influx of money in both camps, quite honestly, because of the value of this particular seat?
I suspect that's true. I think that's also part of the problem, that big money, big union money, big corporate money really has a tendency to skew outcomes in a way that deny honest, straightforward debate between two people. It becomes about the power of the dollar, and I think that's one of the reasons why we need campaign finance reform. It's too much about money. I get complained about because I'm pretty well off in my own life. I started with nothing, had over 450 employees, create a lot of jobs in this community, and done well, and so I can do this. Mr. Arcuri has never put any of his own money in his campaign, but he's received, I think, about $750,000 from big unions. So the only way you can compete in this arena is to have some startup money of your own, and I don't think that's right in either way. Not for him, not for me.
We had Congressman Arcuri on yesterday, and he was touting the financial reform bill that the president will sign into law in a couple hours from now. I wanted to get your take on that particular bill, and then we'll ask about unemployment. But first, do you think this was a needed effort, or did this bill maybe go too far?
I think it probably went too far. One of the hallmarks of government and regulation is the laws of unintended consequences. It creates a vast new bureaucracy with little accountability and has the potential to seriously undermine the competitiveness of the American economy. It also kind of subtly says that people aren't accountable for their own decisions. Certainly there were predatory lending practices and foolish borrowers, but what we see right now is a crisis in confidence. Right now we see insecure borrowers and insecure lenders in a system that's frozen, and that's not good either. It didn't do anything to control Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And incidentally, Mr. Arcuri took $2,000 from Fannie Mae the day he voted to bail them out, and a lot of things were left undone. And I think that they're already looking for new buildings to house all these new employees. So
yeah,
I think it's kind of let's wait and see. Something was necessary. I'm not sure that all of this was.
I like how you got the Fannie Mae thing in there.
Well, one of the hallmarks of this country has been the free flow of money, and what you see right now is banks are afraid of their own borrowers.
Well, very much so, and I couldn't agree with you more. People say, why is the economy still dragging when it seems like all these profits are coming in? Well, companies are holding on to their cash. They've got an incredible amount of cash. They're not willing to spend it because of the uncertainty of what is the future, the next 6-8 months.
That's right. What people feel, and I'm a business guy, that's what I know best. I'm educated in economics, but I've been in business all my life. It makes people feel more insecure because they see a political system out of control, deficit spending, doesn't induce small business people to hire and expand. It scares them because they conclude growth isn't real, and they know that big tax increases are on the horizon. It doesn't make political leaders feel better either. They lack faith, and they can wisely cut debt. In some virtuous future, but they what they really see is what people generally see is a nation kind of careening out of fiscal control.
We're talking with candidate for the 24th Congressional District of New York, Republican Richard Hanna. All right, with that in mind, here's a tough question for you. The House of Representatives will vote today, again, on unemployment, extending unemployment benefits for those who are without now, and that's a couple million Americans. What would you do if you had the 24th Congressional seat of New York? Would you vote for those extensions or against them today?
I would vote for the extension if it were paid for. Period. I think what you have to remember about the stimulus bill is it was supposed to create 3.5 million jobs by the end of 2010. What we've seen is a net increase of almost zero, or at least they can't show that they've either saved jobs or created jobs. To me, this is more an acknowledgement of the failure of the stimulus bill, which is really a government self-stimulus bill. The government's going around redecorating itself, and very little of the money went to those things that economists agree create jobs in a hurry, like infrastructure work. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think you have to look at it on two levels. Sure, there's 2 million people that are out of work, that have run out of work since May, unemployment rather since May, but this $34 billion addition to the deficit should be paid for. For my money, I'd like to see it paid for out of the stimulus package, if that's what they want to do.
But that means you would vote no on the proposal that comes up today because it is still deficit spending as of this
well,
moment.
The way it is now, that's true. That's true, and that's what I say. That if it were paid for, I could comfortably vote for it, and there are ways to pay for it.
I want to get just before we go, you've been touring this district, which is a rather vast district of a number of different type of urban areas, very rural areas. The economy is still number one on people's minds, and what are they telling you they're most worried about?
That's right. If you live in New York State, I think living in New York State is stark evidence of how too much government and I think too much deficit spending like we have in New York. We're actually living on borrowed money all the time. Can wreck an economy. The bureaucracy in New York State, the tax level, all of that has forced people to leave the state. We've lost 1.5 million people. So people are afraid. People wonder how they're going to be, what the future is going to be like, how they can keep their children here where they live and where they love, and their home, and it's very, very problematic for people. I run into people every day who are genuinely afraid for their future, but more than that, they're afraid for their children's future.
Candidate for the 24th Congressional District of New York, Republican Richard Hanna. It's going to be a fascinating race to watch as we go through until November. Thank you, sir, for being on this morning. Greatly appreciate it. Always good talking to you.
Hey, thanks for your time. Talk to you later.
All right, 8:25 on the Morning News Watch.